Welcome to the first installment of our brand new woodwinds, the Contrabass Flute. This thing is huge. It's 25 gigabytes, comes with 3 types of true legato, that's fast vibrato, slow vibrato, and no vibrato. There are 6 sustained note expressive shapes, staccato with a massive 16 round robin variations per note, extended techniques like syllables where the player has spoken a sound into the flute while blowing a short note, tongue rams, triple tongue, and flutter tongue. There are 4 mic positions, 2 of which are decatries and 1 of which is the legendary, extremely rare set of original Neumann M50 mics. These are incredibly rare and only found in the top studios around the world. You can control the sound like this, and you can also add reverb, control the prominence of the key sounds and the amount of air, essentially the force with which the player is blowing into the instrument. And finally, we added this funky feature at people's request where you can actually change the color of the interface. You can use this to match it to your track colors and so on, or just play around with it. It's a bit of a fun one. In any case, let's get into the instrument. We'll look at the legato mode first. Now what you can do here is change both the vibrato and the accentuation of the first note of a phrase, so let's have a listen. And you can also change these with the key switch keys that are highlighted in green at the bottom of the interface. There is a massive dynamic range on this instrument. We've recorded all the legato and sustains at 3 dynamics, from an extremely quiet edge of silence sound to a full-body loud sound. You can control the dynamics with the mod wheel. Obviously, there are release samples for every dynamic in there. We can look at the key and air control straight away because they add a new level of realism that you don't really find in any other woodwind library combination. And I'm mainly talking here about the way we recorded and programmed the air here, and I'll show you why. So the simplest way to describe this is that it increases and decreases the sound of the force with which the musician is blowing into the instrument. This can be used with great effect when creating a more expressive sound, because what happens particularly on large woodwind instruments is when the musician plays louder, it's the sound of the air and the upper harmonics that gets louder, not necessarily the fundamental tone. So I'll show you what I mean. So it adds an extra level of sort of intensity control that you have besides just the dynamic knob or the accentuation. What I can do now, which is even cooler, is assign the air control to the mod wheel. The mod wheel, when I turn it, now controls both the dynamic layers and the volume of the air. And let's see how this sounds. Quite an interesting effect. You can also play polyphonically, and you have the same options in vibrato and note shape here. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at this and we'll scroll through the different mic positions. So we'll look at close and we'll go with fast vibrato accent. So as you can see, it's a very, very close sound. You can literally hear the air and the breath from the musician. Now, if we go look at the Decca tree, that's the Neumann M50s. Now we got this position, that's another Decca tree at a different distance. And we got, finally, the room mics, which are very far away. Next, we've got the staccato. Staccato on this instrument is quite an interesting one. It takes a huge amount of air to get a sound out of this instrument, and the larger the instrument is, the smoother and softer all the accentuations and shorts are. So you'll notice the staccatos here are very rounded. After this, we come to the syllables. This is an extended technique where the musician speaks or mouths specific linguistic sounds while blowing into the instrument. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Next is tongue rams. Getting weirder and weirder to explain these, but this is another experimental and very cool technique where the player blocks and then releases air with their tongue to create a sharp popping sound, and it's used for adding a thumping percussive effect. Next, we've got triple tongue. This is a very simple recorded articulation where every note is a true recorded set of 3 notes using the triple tongue technique. And finally, we come to the flutter tongue, which is a sharp vibrating textured sound the player creates by rolling an R into the instrument. So all in all, you've got a serious set of articulations here, and as you can hear from the demos available, there's a massive range of sound. You can create huge amounts of musicality and variation, melody, harmony, percussiveness, and weird sounds with this one instrument alone. And even after all the demonstrations in this video, to really experience and get a feel for what this thing can do, you'll have to try it for yourself.